Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Island Fever Live. My name is Candice, and I am hanging out here. Of course, we've been talking to you guys about voting and how important it is. And of course, your Island Fix, as usual, we are coming to it from a Caribbean standpoint and really are dedicated to making sure that the Caribbean voting block is taken seriously. And I have a gentleman here with us who is just as passionate, if not more as passionate about this than we are. I'm talking about Mr. Glenn Joseph. Now, Mr. Joseph, your resume really just speaks for itself. You're the vice president of the Caribbean Democratic Caucus of Florida.
Okay.
Which tells us who you may be voting for. And also, you're pursuing a doctoral degree. I want you to definitely tell us a little bit about that. And you're also the former president of the Caribbean American Chamber of Commerce. So welcome to the program. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Candice. Glad to be here.
Wonderful. So I would like you to go ahead and tell us a little more about Vote 2020 and how it's been going. I know we're knee deep in election season right now. Early voting has already started. What are some of the things that your organization is doing to drum out the Caribbean American vote in Florida in general?
Well, yeah, the caucus is a statewide caucus, and for the last 3 or 4 months, we've been building up to get the vote out. The important thing about this election is that democracy is at stake. If we look at what has been happening over the last 3.5 years, you find that every institution of government has been challenged. Every state department, the Department of Defense, Department of Agriculture, every one of these departments have been understaffed and staffed by political cronies who went there with a simple task of destroying those institutions. So it's so very important that we get out and vote. Now, I can't tell anybody that they ought to vote Democrat, although I would like them to. But the important thing is to vote. Your vote is something that people have died for. And we should honor that by giving it the importance that it does. What we've been doing is we've been having meetings, we've been walking, we've been phoning, the traditional basic political strategies. And as we get closer, it is very important that we continue. What we need to look at is that as of today, there have been 29 million people who have voted already in this, right? As of today, and that does not include today. That was as of yesterday. All right. The vote by mail are phenomenal numbers out there. So far, 6.6 million have been returned. That is democratic. Okay.
Yes. In the state of Florida.
Well, period, all over. And 2.7 million has been Republican. So we outnumber them there. But we have to be careful. We cannot get complacent because what is happening is that because the president has been making a lot of noise about vote by mail being fraud, et cetera, it backfired on them. A lot of Republicans have not been voting by mail.
Right.
So they're encouraging them now to come out on election day. So the advantage we have in early voting and vote by mail can be washed away if we don't continue the thrust to make sure that people get to the polls. Whether they get there walking, whether we have to carry them on our backs, whether we have to rent them, we need to make sure that everyone gets to the polls. Now, I would like to talk to Jay on this time because I know that, because I know that a lot of the youngsters have a variety of reasons why they don't participate, and not all of them, but a good significant portion of those of that age group.
Yes.
The important thing here to remember is that when you do not vote, you are actually empowering whatever gets there,
Yes.
as did in 2016. Now, I will be honest and say that the parties have not always lived up to the expectations. But in order to change something, you have to become part of something. You can't change an institution from outside. So I urge them to be active, get involved, and and let's create the kind of change that they want. Because I just turned 70 a few days ago. Okay, so I
Happy
mean,
belated,
I won't
sir.
be around forever. What do you say?
I said happy belated.
Thank you, thank you. Uh, we won't be at this forever. We've got, we would like to hand it over, and so, but that has to happen. That young folks have to get involved because the negative impact of not being involved will be felt more 10, 20 years down the road. Remember, McConnell. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I really want to focus a little bit more on that. I want Jay to, because being my age, I understand. I've been through a few elections and I've
Mhm,
seen
mhm.
how not voting really does affect you, even on a local level, right? And
More importantly,
most of us don't go out for local or senate races, but I want Jay to really give us like the top two things that he believes as a young voter is important within the Caribbean American community. Jay is half Haitian and half Jamaican.
okay,
I know you hail from Trinidad, sir.
yeah,
So um, we've got quite the melting pot here at Island Fever FM. And I really do want to find out what would be keeping those young people from voting and have you address those issues for us right here on our show. Jay?
for sure, by all means.
Good evening, everybody. I think Mr. Joseph touched on it, and it's really important. We hear the conversation every time election time comes around. Okay, I know, the process is imperfect, or I know your issues didn't really get addressed last time, but don't worry, this time is too important. We'll get to it when we get to it, and that's sort of the from a young person's perspective. That's sort of the position that the establishment always takes. And then when, obviously when you accept that, then the conversation becomes, yeah, well, the status quo needs to change, but just not right now. It's a little too important right now. Like we can't get to it right now. And then even when it's not, for example, turnout is higher when there's a presidential election on the ballot. The
Hmm.
years when it's not a presidential election, then it's sort of like, yeah, well, you can't really, ask him to do much unless we give him a majority in Congress or what have you. You know what I'm saying? So, what can you just speak a little bit to that in terms of like how we can get accountability? Because I think with more accountability, then you start seeing a little bit more progress.
Definitely, that's an excellent point that you made, and I can tell you, although I am quite a ways removed from 20s, um, I- nothing's changed to the extent that it should have. Because yes, you say to someone, okay, we can't do anything now. Let's wait until after the election to do as what happened with Ice Cube and the thing with the Democrats and Biden and Trump. Okay,
Yes.
the problem is this: what in 2008, when President Obama was elected, I remember telling the party and anyone who would listen, when you mobilize the youth to the extent that they have been mobilized, and right after election it fizzles out, you're killing their inspiration to do anything.
Yes.
We've got to find a way to keep the youth involved on a consistent basis, moving right along. And there's a lot that we can do to do that. Because if we were to turn back the historical mistruths that exist
Mhm.
with
Mhm.
respect to the history, it would awaken in them the kind of consciousness that we wouldn't have to do anything. They will take it on themselves. All right.
Yes.
So um, I, 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 I don't want to dwell on what has happened in the past, but currently I serve as the voter engagement lead on the Diversity and Inclusion Committee for the state. And as the lead on that, I am committed to making sure that I'm looking already at November 5th, not November 3rd.
Yes.
Now, I'm not being complacent about the 3rd because, as I said, we need to drag everybody to the polls because if they're going to come out heavy on election day, we need to match them or stay close so we don't lose the
Yes.
advantage we have. But come November 5th, we will be developing a plan and try to include as many youngsters as possible in that because we've got to change the party. We've got to remove the old heads who have been there for much too long. Okay?
Yes.
No, I'm old, but I'm talking about older heads
Yes.
and
Yes. Of course.
probably, more stubborn head. Move
Mm.
them out because you can't do the same thing over and over and expect a different result. They say that's the definition of madness.
Yes.
But the
Exactly.
madness must stop now. We're close to losing our democracy. Let this be the point where we stop the nonsense and start
Mm.
proactively moving towards making the kind of changes that will get our youth involved, that will get them not only involved, but motivated to stay involved over the long term.
And be motivated to run, be motivated to serve, be
Uh,
motivated to take part in not just by voting but actually making themselves candidates on a local level.
The only way that will change is by exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm a political consultant. Since 2003, we have run something like 89 or 90, somewhere between 89 and 92 election campaigns. The
Wow.
first Caribbean American majority in Miramar, Lauderdale Lakes, the State House. And I am currently doing my last campaign. I have formed a pack that is going to be concentrating on two things: the importance of local elections, the
Mm.
importance of participating consistently, because local elections affect your schools, your water, your air, everything. And if we
all
get
all
people,
things that affect your daily life is mostly done
exactly,
on the local level.
and if we get people voting regularly at the local level, we don't have to worry about presidential and gubernatorial elections. They will vote. And the
Yes.
other part that I'm going to be concentrating on is candidate development. We've got to start developing candidates who don't want to get there so that they're a commissioner or that they're this or that they're that, but they're because they went to serve. And the service does not mean fill in the swamp like what's happening in Washington, but
Mm.
doing the work that needs to be done in order to build what we want to build.
Brilliant, beautiful. I mean, I'm sure that answered your question, Jay. Jay, are you excited to be a part of it? And if so, Glenn, how does a youngster like Jay end up being able to do or be a part of the work that you will be doing come November 5th?
My telephone number is 754-224-8150. I'm accused of sleeping with my phone, so you call me at any time. And my email address is the same as my name, Glenn with two N's, Joseph5 at gmail.com. Call me, write me, and keep calling me if you don't hear from me because it's a lot, but I will return the call, and I'm looking to grow the youth part of this because succession planning is not something that we've done very well in the past.
Wow, brilliant. Thank you so much. That's very, that's very wonderful and inspiring for young people, because I'm a little older than Jay, but I too share the frustration even within the Caribbean American associations and things like that, where it's kind of like we're trying to breathe some new life, but then you run into the old heads, and it
and
frustrates you enough that you just go and do your own thing.
they don't want to
Well,
move.
Yeah.
yeah, they don't want to move. And I'll tell you something, when you talk about the Caribbean community themselves, they're no different than those people who are trying to keep us out of the mainstream politics, because we're too geographically inclined.
Mhm.
We don't, our egos are bigger than our capacity to deliver, and we don't know when to get out of the way. So, yeah.
Glenn, I like you a lot. I think you'll be hearing from me very soon.
Okay.
Speaking the truth right here on Island Fever FM. Just want to remind you, you're listening to, and if you're on our YouTube channel, you're watching your Island Fix, Island Fever FM. We have here with us Mr. Glenn Joseph. He's a um,
Consultant.
political consultant. I almost said analyst, political consultant, and also the vice president of the Caribbean Democratic Caucus of Florida. So we've talked about the young people. I want to talk a little bit about the working class and what you believe, or what's the message that you have been giving to voters with regard to the varied plans by either candidate, and what would work for Caribbean Americans specifically in Florida.
One of the most important things about the middle class is that when you look at the tax cuts, for example, that was that this administration had, 3 trillion, I think it was.
Mhm.
Okay, it was supposed to reduce taxes. Now, I'm an accountant also, okay, and I do taxes for people, and I can tell you, every single person, and I don't deal with millionaire clients, I deal with middle class clients.
Of course.
Every single client received less money back this time than before. So who benefited from that tax cut? The rich. Now you hear
Yes.
50 cents come out with this nonsense about vote for Trump because he can't go from 50 to 20. Well, I can say a lot about that, but an adult.
Well, if I may touch on that, speak on it, because 50 Cent is a millionaire now at this point.
Yeah,
He's a
yeah,
multi-millionaire.
yeah. Over three, he got 300 million for his water thing, and he has power and all of those other things. We shouldn't envy anybody where they have gotten to, but we should remember and remind them where they came from and the
Exactly.
havoc that they caused while they were there, so that if now they're asked to give back, to make sure that something happens where they didn't do it, they shouldn't take the high-handed attitude that he's taken, in that I can't go from 50 to 20. You had nothing before.
Exactly. You have nothing, and you got your first thing from questionable means. I really don't understand why he would even decide to try to influence the youth in that way. I think Ice Cube, he's a little bit
Ice Cube is different.
yeah,
He's
he's
different.
misguided is what I believe.
No. He isn't misguided. What happened with Ice Cube is he did the contract for Black America. Okay, he approached both candidates, and one told him, "We will get back to you." The other one embraced him. All right. So, as he said on CNN the other night with Cuomo, he said, "I am not for party because party doesn't work for us. I
Mhm.
am for anyone who will contribute to helping make it better for Black America." The problem is that they tend to trust, I don't know what it is about this Pied Piper, but they tend to trust the wrong people. And when they get used, they cannot back up because they've already been played.
Exactly.
Right?
But
So,
he, as an intelligent person, and he is an intelligent intelligent person. He should know better. The track
He's
record
selfish.
of the people you're getting into a contract with should tell you that they are not going to honor. They don't even honor their own people. Why are they going to honor your contract?
20,000 lives in 3.5 years. Okay, and I'm sure they omitted some of the smaller ones, so it only include the big ones. With everything that is plain for us to see about these people, one should know better. But
And
to come back to the 50 cent issue, I think I don't know how many of the kids will be moved to go vote for Trump because he said that, because I suspect that the population that might be enamored by him are not voting anyway. But and those are the ones we have to address. We have to get to those kids. I'm always impressed by what the Parkland kids did after that, when they called that march and they went all over the country. They went to Watts, they went to Harlem, they went to East New York, they went all over the country and brought Black and everybody else together. That is the kind of movement that should have been fostered, should have been helped, should have been encouraged. And I think they played a significant role in the young people who are voting, because they registered tons of people who were 16 then and who can now vote.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
Well, to Jay's credit, he has already voted. He voted by mail.
Right.
And I have not voted yet. I'm voting tomorrow.
Okay.
Because I wanted to do it in person. My signature never matches, you see, and I already know that. So I have to go in person.
What are you going to do 20 years from now?
20 years from now, I will have
because the signature changes over time. So if it doesn't match now.
Can you imagine?
I know.
Thank goodness we're going into electronic signatures. So I no longer have to write my crab toe, as my mother would call it.
Right.
All right. So now that we've explored a little bit of, I see that your focus is really around drumming up the young people, getting that voter bloc a little more excited. Are we converting any Republicans? Have you seen that?
Yes, we have. I mean, just today, Michael Steele, the former chairman of the Republican National Party, endorsed Joe Biden. Now, we didn't get him to change parties, but he supported Biden because, as in his words, Biden is a good man. All right, and Kamala is somebody who's done good things.
Yes, I was at her rally yesterday in Orlando, and it was quite something, quite inspiring to see. Representative Val Demings does very well in Central Florida with the Caribbean American community. We love her, and
we're hoping that she will run for governor.
Yes, that would be wonderful. Do you think she will?
I don't know, but I know Estefani is planning to, and we don't need that kind of venom up there.
You are not the only person I've heard that has said that about that specific candidate, who was actually there as well yesterday.
No, I'm sure she would be.
Yes, she was very much there with a major donor, a lawyer. I can't say who, but she was definitely hanging out with the donors.
Yeah, that's where she's heading. That's where she wants to go. But we have to make sure that what didn't happen 2 years ago happens the next time around. And why didn't it happen? For the same reason. We stayed home in certain key places and didn't go out and vote, and they lost.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, this has been a very interesting discussion. I'm going to once again repeat for everyone how, if you are a young person, we want you to get involved in voting. And Mr. Glenn Joseph has very, very graciously allowed us to go ahead and give you his personal information. So I will go ahead and repeat that for you. 754-224-8150. That's 754-224-8150. And his email is Glenn with 2 N's, Joseph at Joseph5 at gmail.com. That's Glenn Joseph 5 gmail.com. Do you have any parting words for our listeners, young or old, who believe their vote doesn't count?
Your vote counts. People have died for the right to vote. And when you do not vote, you are empowering the wrong people to lead us. Take a look right at the TV or the papers or anywhere that you look, and you would see an example of what you do not want to happen. We cannot afford a repeat of 2016. Our democracy depends on it. We have gone from the most respected country in the world to the most disrespected in the world, all because of one man. And he is so arrogant that he's full of steroids, walked out of the hospital and went on the blue balcony at the White House talking about, I feel 20 years younger.
Irresponsible.
That's irresponsible and
I got COVID,
criminal, really.
and it really, that was so irresponsible.
Mhm.
So
All right, before I go, let me answer one of your first questions that you didn't get back to, which is you said you wanted to know something about my PhD.
yes, I do.
Yeah, I am doing a PhD in public administration, public policy. I'm what some would say is a policy expert. Um, my emphasis is on the disparities in law between federal and state laws as it refers to immigrants, specifically DACA. And I should be completed within the next 4 to 5 months.
Fantastic. Congratulations. I know it must not have been easy, especially with this election year looming.
Well, many election years looming because I've been at it a while because you can't serve two masters. And so every time something comes up and I'm pulled here or there, but
Yes.
I'm recovering from surgery right now. And so I'm going to use that time to knock it off.
Okay, well, I hope you feel better.
I
And
am.
you're
I
on the
am
mend.
getting there. Oh,
Good.
yeah. Right.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, you are welcome to come back anytime. You
All
are
right.
definitely a friend of this show and a friend of the young people, right, Jay?
Absolutely, sir. And I want to thank you for your words and your outlook and the work that you're doing. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Jay. And you have my number. Use it. All right. Don't lose it. Use it.
Yes, sir. We'll throw it in the comments momentarily. Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you
All
so
right.
much for joining us. You have a wonderful day and all the best through this election season.
Thank you, Candice.
You're
Good
welcome.
being here.
Wonderful. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.